You never can have enough Radbolts, whether it is 50 power Radbolts or 500 power Radbolts. If you ever get that thing running, you can annihilate all of your rocket problems, fill your interplanetary launchers, or remove the dupes from their life subscription without a chance of ever coming back. Once they touch the liquid, they are gone for good. Of course I didn't actually let him kill the lovely dupes. I did reload and try to save them. We will be starting right away with this, but this will take a while to build, so sit back, relax, grab a nice cup of coffee or any beverage of your liking and enjoy the mayhem. Since we are building in space to speed up the process, I would advise to build a few atmosphere dots and then fill them with oxygen, of course. We are getting our oxygen from down here. It also doesn't hurt to add a bit of atmosphere repair to the mix. As soon as the oxygen arrives, we can start with the build. For that purpose I chose the space area in the top left. We will be starting with a few tiles, 2 pumps and some background tiles. The pumps are there to transport the highly radioactive material, in our case radioactive water or nuclear waste, to the desired target area. In order to create a highly radioactive liquid, we pump in hot steam and then condensate it, while at the same time hopefully grabbing the radioactive contaminants out of thin air. The liquid will drop and the pumps will grab the highly radioactive liquid. How this works I will explain later in this episode, but first let's continue the building. And with this we finish the easiest part of the Radbolt Regen, designed by Kutai with the help of Ulsen and me. The collection area. The collection area can roughly be divided into the radiation collection area and the liquid collection area. In order to catch the radiation we use condensing gas, in our case steam, which I pumped from down in the base with the system I built last episode. The only thing I'm adding to it is a buffer in form of this gas storage as well as some automation. The automation for this is basically just a cable, maybe a few bridges, that transports the signal of the gas storage, be it green or red, at a certain percentage of fillage, down to the system that sends up the steam. As you can see, for that we will need a long cable. The simple fact that I wanted to automate this without planning ahead led to me having to go into the steam room again, which is a real pain in the butt. The atmosensor is supposed to control the water flow to the steam room, and the automation cable from above that comes all the way from our steam buffer, i.e. the gas storage, controls the gas pump. In order to get into the steam room without the steam escaping everywhere and ruining some of the systems, I placed some tiles, dropped some liquid, deconstructed some tiles to create an airlock, gave some construction orders with a great disregard for dupe life and a bunch of work safety guidelines, just to be rewarded with a system I could have planned ahead. And then I built the whole system again, because a few things in the setup are RNG, meaning you never know which side ends up more useful. Then I re-added the interplanetary payload collection system here on top, plus a thin layer of liquid cause it's in space now and needs a thermal conductor and some more conveyor rails. The next important thing for the Radbolt Regen is the condensing part. In order for us to be able to condense the steam, we need a surface area that is colder than the steam. For us that will be radiant liquid pipes running behind the granite tiles, vents and background tiles. The highly radioactive liquids will then be dropped in an area where we placed a bunch of Radbolt generators. In this setup the Radbolt generators fire straight up. I think I built it this way because sometimes you have nuclear fallout as byproduct, which can interfere with your system. Then we fill the pipes used for cooling and condensing with a liquid of our choice. In this case cold water / polluted water. I also added a second gas storage on the top left. Now let me explain how this should work. For that I needed to go a few hours of material into the future, because it can be super finicky to finally get this to run. The main principle behind the whole contraption are those tiny little flashes here. Each of those flashes has a radiation value from around 1000 up to a few billions. If we can reliably recreate them, maybe even in the same spot, we could place a Radbolt generator there. But why do something so primitive if we could actually catch the radiation? But what do you mean by catch, I hear you say? Well, the game creates those radiation flashes in space by placing radioactive contaminants in that area. And radioactive contaminants are nothing else than germs. So if we actually manage to catch those germs, be it with gas or liquids, we can have them survive in the respective medium. In our case, liquids. This water here, for example, produces 3200 rads per cycle and it only has 2.8 million germs in it. With the high radiation achieved, we can start the generators by connecting all the cables. You can set the generators to 50 or 500, whatever you want. The thing is, the Radbolts that we are creating right now are fed back to the system on the left and circled around. We do that to create even more flashes, which means we now arrived at how to create a flash. A flash is created when a Radbolt flies through vacuum. The stronger the Radbolt, the stronger the flash. The issue now is that this is not very consistent. If you start horizontally and then change the direction of the Radbolt to vertically, most of the time you get a flash 2 to the left or 2 to the right of where the Radbolt is flying. But this can be influenced by lag, your cycle count, your planet count, the size of your colony, and whatever. Your condensation system can be flawed, material can be too hot or too cold, or for whatever reason you just don't get your flash. Which is why I had to play around with Radbolt reflectors a long time to get it to run. This is why I also don't give you exact numbers. The gas valve, for example, can be set anything between 1 and 50, just try it out, look what works for you. And to be even more transparent here, this is not working in my base at the moment, because of the simple fact that I had to turn it off and can't get it up and running again. Some areas are too hot and the condensation probably doesn't work correctly. And I didn't feel like fixing it after the huge amount of time I already spent. Also, my ignition radiation has already been deconstructed. The main issue for the overheating is the green circle that you can see in the background. Colliding Radbolts produce nuclear fallout. Nuclear fallout is extremely hot and will ruin your day. Let's take a break from the radiation and welcome the lovely Aidan Olsen to their own planet. First I'm gonna name this Aidan's Asteroid, and then we welcome the lovely plant murderers but with an affinity to cooking Aidan Olsen. Welcome to the base. Aidan has been one of my most loyal supporters. We just kind of forgot what living arrangements their dupes should get, but now finally in the game they will have the monopoly over our cheesy petroleum duplication planet, which is very cold, doesn't have food and needs support packages from other planets. After deconstructing unnecessary wilted plants, giving a few lateral build orders and cleaning up the whole place, or at least sweeping some of the debris, I tried to start a plastic production system, which worked for a while until it didn't. Aidan got some building skills, some copper and a chance to repair the thing. The thought behind this was give Aidan a lovely plastic planetoid so we can use up all of this petroleum that we have backed up here. And also maybe grab a bit of this polluted water, so that our oxygen production is safe. Aidan quickly took care of the piping, before grabbing more aluminum and making space for the gas storage system, and I think some kind of pipe spaghetti I added later on. Then we grabbed some water, watched the thing break again, and restarted the oxygen production. Besides integrating the lovely Aidan and starting the Radbolt Regen, I thought why not do a small side project as well. I mean, we got water left and right, why not use it? With this we would be able to supply 88 duplicants, and if we just add one tiny layer more, we are able to supply 176 dupes. Wouldn't that be nice? I just figured that it would be safer to build all of these out of steel and not out of cobalt ore, as you can see here. So maybe we need to start our steel production again. We do not have any iron on this planet, but we also didn't have cobalt and I just sent it over from Steakoo's place. We can do the same with iron, because we have a volcano here. We do have an ungodly amount of lime though, 28 tons. So yeah, let's just crush some. And maybe automate the refilling process. As for the refined carbon we still do have this area. The interplanetary iron transport already arrived and is conveyed to our drop-off point, right here. Which means it is time to and reconstruct the whole thing. These 4 seconds have been 31 cycles, by the way. A long time and a lot of micromanagement later, I submerged all the electrolyzers in a layer of cold polluted water and a little bit of clean water. Further up in the base I tried to integrate a range for the Pokeshell, with the hope of getting more shells to crush and of feeding them our trash. Over on Sapiol we have the issue of the plants slowly but steadily overheating. As you can see by the red symbols, all of those plants are not growing correctly anymore. But before taking a shot at fixing that, I supplied our lovely Meepo Ninbit with a much fancier attire. With this purplish vest we should find him anywhere. But back to the problem at hand, and 61 cycles in the future to be exact, the temperature is looking pretty bad, which is why I'm trying my luck with this open on top version of an aqua tuner setup. I hope that a cool saltwater geyser that dumps its liquid from the top is enough to cool this down. I doubt it though. Then I added a tremendous amount of piping and even filled it with liquid. After that we are at this point you have already seen. Sometime later it looks like this. Here's the direct comparison. Oh, by the way, I'm now really sure that Wade's planet is right next to Flodista. Can you see this here on the screen? That is the stapler gun using the party line phone. Let's check that out. Yup, pretty clearly the stapler gun here. Confirming that Flodista and Wade's planet are right next to each other in the grand scheme of things. Talking about schemes, it would also be very nice if you would leave a like. Around the same time, but on planet 1, the former main planet, I thought about taking care of our sand issue. We need some, so I wanted to get some. From this swampy ore field to be exact. We can only get polluted dirt or mud from there, but with the help of a few poke shells we can produce some sand. That being said, I don't even have access to the drill cone. Somehow I just stopped researching someday. Which is why our lovely dupes now have to take care of that. Ainhale here, for example, can take a breather from their suffering, run up to the rocket without an atmosuit of course, and be sent into space to conduct a little bit of research, which they do diligently. Still not enough though, this might take a while. Meanwhile, let us prepare the drilling rocket and even explore a few more of those star hexagons. Our designated stargazer will be Feral Kitten, taking their job serious and immediately going to work, even with a big smile on their face. Compared to that, Hale is at their limit. Same goes for Arale and Arale. Wade's planet gets a bit of a refurbishment to be better suited for more research. And it's about time for Hale to come back home, wouldn't you say, Hale? After bringing them home, I checked out how the space research was going. What do we got here? A Russell's teapot. Amazing. Exactly what I wished for. Couldn't I have gotten something with sand? What's up with you again? Stop bouncing around. Look how far we have gotten. Crap. We can maybe speed that up by stripping our Halo of their heavy skill burden and giving them researcher skill points as compensation. After I allowed them a quick dump and a whole night of sleep in a comfy bed, it means off to work again. More rocket torture for you, Halo. But once they were back, I upgraded them to a friendlier working environment, which brought us just a smidge closer to finishing the drill cone research. Around 100 cycles in the past, even before the Pokeshell range, I tried to expand on our Radbolt production, but as you can already see in the background, this is the point where we already screwed up. Even after trying to reflect the Radbolts to a different direction, the nuclear fallout was a pain to deal with. That is basically why I shut the whole thing off and couldn't get it up running again. Still, it looks somewhat cool if I might say so. After building the Radbolt generators, I added an interplanetary payload launcher and used the rest of the Radbolts to send material here and there, which was mostly food that I had Feral Kitten grab to send to Aidan Olsen, who otherwise is pretty alone on their planet with nothing to eat. This setup here though grabbed the food, transported it with a conveyor rail to the payload launcher and sent it over from Flodista to Aidan's asteroid. This is the moment that we printed him, by the way. Yes, this whole episode is one big time travel. Oh, and here's the proof that I also screw up massively. The pump in the infinite storage has been broken forever, and since I'm now very tight on water, I wanted to grab my polluted water from there. Hence I needed to repair the pump, which meant I had to break into the infinite storage. I at least wanted to prepare the material beforehand, that's why you can see the auto sweeper setup. But my attempts at getting in were more than rookie-like. I grabbed myself a dupe. This time poor McLim had to do the job. Enter the pressure chamber, let out a bit of polluted water, build the pump, get out, close the room, and now get out of the room without spilling hot polluted water everywhere. Which we actually did achieve, because of this lucky carbon dioxide pocket here. But still, here's my live reaction to this. There's 10 tons, 10 and 10 tons, 30 tons of polluted water. I don't want to deal with this. This is already breaking. Why? I hate this. I decided that I would try to drop down the liquid, cause everything down here is already broken. I closed off the system on top and tried deconstructing the tile down below before the wall of our infinite storage completely breaks. A wave of pain later, I had fixed the thing, with only marginal damage to everything below, or McLim for that matter. Maybe even David and Hans Martin. But hey, the puffs are fine, and we got some literal dirt on our hands. Isn't that nice? Look at this mess and all the heat and the dupes in the hospital rooms. At least we do still have 80 tons, 93 tons, 87 tons and 100 tons here. Remember guys, build your pumps out of gold amalgam or steel if the liquid that you want to store is hot. This planet did not have gold amalgam and it wasn't time for steel. That's why I built it out of copper and that's why it broke in the second episode or something like this. And I only now need the water. Well, you see where this leads to. Adding insult to injury here, the frigging Pokeshell died. I guess we did not have enough polluted dirt. Putting that aside, let's do something nicer. Let us visit our lovely Aidan Olsen, who, besides having hypothermia, is working hard on a coffee recreation room and a tiny dance hall. The building and carrying skills Aidan got for that should help out in that endeavor. And it did. The tiny hat that Aidan is wearing right now boosted their confidence enough to finish the room quickly. But now we gotta switch focus to grilling. Cause even though Aidan is sleeping peacefully, the calories are almost depleted, meaning if we don't rescue them, they will die. Even the dreams are about food at the moment. Besides having 0 calories on this planet, we do still have sweet eggs, which we can crack and make some omelette out of it, which hopefully keeps Aidan alive until the next food payload arrives, which luckily happened the next cycle, even though there wasn't much in it. All the fun free time that Aidan has aside, ignoring my digging orders to the left, there's not much to keep them alive, which is why I decided to drain this water tank and use this room for mealwood production. The main issue on this planetoid is that it is really cold, which leads to me also having to include an automated heating system, just so we can plant some grizzly mealwood. What a waste. Sadly, I also had to save scum once, just to get a buttload of paku, which I immediately murderized to make some juicy fish fillets. Let's hope we get the mealwood running soon. Our room heaters do work hard for that matter, but there is still ways to go. Way better, isn't it? Aidan worked so hard on growing them, I think they deserve a few plants in the recreation room for that. We also did get some balm lily. Besides that, I wanted to dig further to the core of the planet, but if Aidan gets those skill points, the morale will plummet, which is why I first increased the thermal conductivity of the farming room and then thought about something to dig down here. Even though Aidan can't dig through hard material, a brilliant move of our lovely duplicant gave them the option to expand further downwards without even lifting so much as a finger. Work smart, not hard. Still, because the range is limited, we once in a while need to replace them. First here, emptying out the water pool, the next one aimed to the right, grab some material by deconstructing the rocket platform, and then maybe construct a few more of those. To be totally honest here, I never thought I would use the robo-miners for anything else than clearing meteorites. But here we are and they are actually useful. Sadly they can't dig through abyssal though, so they do have a hardness limit. Here's a quick insight of me trying to restart the Radbolt Regen. Following our long automation cable, I switched it to green to activate the pump, which will suck up the steam and transport it upward. We do need at least one ignition Radbolt to start up the system, which is why I'm hooking up a Radbolt generator. I chose this one, set to 50 reds for the moment, because this one still has 1720 reds per cycle. To the left here you can see another issue that can happen, nuclear fallout turning to nuclear waste, which you can't really get rid of in your system, since every pump duplicates it, if you want it or not. You have to send in a dupe to mop it up, while the pumps are not running. In order to not get the Radbolt at nighttime, I quickly switched the Radbolt to 500 power instead of 50, so we can watch the Radbolt travel in daylight. There we have it, the Radbolt is now circling around, but as you can see, we are not creating strong flashes and not even in the right spaces. I hooked up more generators and hoped for the best, but I can already tell you the system did not restart again. Now, even though this is the same setup as before, the flashes appear in different areas, which is why I said this is not very consistent. Yes, there are some vague rules, but be assured that I tried around for a few hours here with a lot of different setups, even the ones that should definitely work, and the results were always different. But at least here to the right we do have a little bit of radiation left for more tries, and it even seems that we got a few germs. We arrived at the moment which I used to start the last episode, the cloning of the Sporechid seed. The Sporechid seed got sent over from Wade's planet to the main planet and then shot with the interplanetary launcher to Flodisser. Nazgul the Dupe number 4 is transporting the seed down to our seed replication area, where it is dropped and after a few setting changes, planted, wilted and duplicated. With this we do have at least a few seeds available that we can use for one or the other project. For example, we could squeeze in one more dupe and give them a bit of Sporechid for decoration. We just need to supply the carbon dioxide for it to grow. Only 10 gram? Okay, we need to do that at least 10 times. Good that we do have the carbon dioxide collection system down here. A few more breathers later, literally, our Sporechids grow beautifully and give us plus 80 decor each. This can also be used to increase decor in industrial areas, even where there are heavy watt wires. The carbon dioxide will come from our carbon dioxide canister filler. If the dupes don't use it for soda, that is. Thanks Nazgul to dupe. Okay, second try, and there we go. This should supply us with enough carbon dioxide. And with this, the dupes are able to supply the seeds to grow the beautiful Sporechids. As you can see, I didn't even supply them with atmosuits, because the dupes can just hold their breath. That being said, after cleanup, we do have a nice amount of spores in it, and just a truckload of positive decor. In this spot here, for example, plus 1200, and that's the way to overpower the heavy watt wire penalty. A dupe approved method. Steakooo on the other hand likes the industrial look of things and is therefore trying to make use of the natural gas geyser here, maybe even add a molecular forge and of course the natural gas generator, then vacuum out the room until only clean natural gas is coming out, and then we can activate the generator, not for the power but for the liquid it produces. I am slowly but steadily using up all the liquid on Steakoo's planet, which is where this should be helping. It uses 90 grams of natural gas per second. This one has a total average flow of 98 grams per second, meaning we can even hook up a second generator. With this, Steakooo hopefully can survive for longer. Let me also recommend you a nice other creator. Genuine Polish makes entertaining oxygen not included content, as well as other gaming and gaming related content. Go and check him out after leaving a like on this video. Also a big thanks to the Luma Labs crew and all of the lovely patrons and members, and this thanks goes to you, Aidan.